Welcome back to Property Management Madness. Pull up a chair, pull up a drink. We'll wait while you get ready. All right, I'm your host, Shauna,
And I'm your co-host Jay.
and today we have a special guest with us, Megan.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. This is one of the more exciting and look forward to episodes that Jay and I have been planning. We want to talk about trends. We talk about branding
And
and
consistency.
consistency. Yeah, what is going to make your turnover as easy as possible, as quick as possible, and where can you save money? So, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Megan, want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do.
Get ready, everybody.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
So, hey, guys, my name is Megan. I've worked in the chemical coatings field for about 6, 7 years now, working with color and design. I work with a lot of local property management companies to help give them systems and programs to make easier turnover and maintenance easier for their properties,
Awesome.
ultimately trying to help them save time and money in their overall projects.
Okay,
Well, great.
awesome. How long have you been doing that for? Did you
Uh,
already say?
7 years
7
now.
years. I don't know. I would, I can't really hear with these earbuds. I'm sorry. 7
She's
years. Okay.
struggling
I
today,
am
people.
struggling. It's fine. Um okay, awesome. So what are you seeing? So you said it's mostly interior?
So I do handle exterior as well.
Okay.
So, capital expenditure, I understand that's big in the property management world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exteriors are heavily planned out, and we have a lot of different programs that we use to, kind of give you some different inspirational ideas, color renderings, or, bringing out physical color chips for you guys to be able to see colors in real time so you can kind of get a better gauge of what you think you want to do with your exteriors or even your interiors.
Okay, awesome. So what trends are you seeing? Specifically, I know that you work in like hospitality
hmm
and hospitals and other things like that. So, specifically, property management, what are you seeing that people want? And what did they want that is surprisingly not so trendy anymore? And you didn't think that was going to happen?
So tans are pretty much on the outs, I will say. Back in 10, 15 years ago, tans and beiges were
Mhm.
really the most popular trends going on.
Neutrals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were considered
Yes.
the neutrals.
Yeah, early, earth tones and everything. Now it's kind of transitioned more into cooler gray tones.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
it gives the property a lot, well, not even the property, but even the buildings more of a contemporary feel. It makes the space feel a little bit more open. So that's what I've noticed that a lot of properties, or even I even work with hospitals that tend to go more on the cooler tone of things,
Okay.
especially like blue tones, because that naturally just brings a calming effect to people.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. I know that for a fact too with the grays, the more earthy tones
hmm
that we used to see in a lot of properties, and we're kind of moving away from those. I know in with the company I work for, we still have a few properties that still have those colors. And as we go in with the new move outs and things, we're always encouraging to move towards the grays, the lighter
Right.
colors, the brighter colors, because we've seen the trend, and that's kind of the consistency we're going with moving forward.
You're gonna
Right.
have to pry my brown 90s living room out of my cold, dead
Hey, I
hands.
went with green tones in my house. I
So,
love it.
I have orange, okay?
Yeah,
I'm way out,
well, you're
but
all over the spectrum,
I
so
am. I
But,
am.
but
I
that's
like that warmer tone. This is one of the things that Jay and we always disagree about. He loves the modern.
yeah.
He
yeah,
loves the
she hates
cool
my
and the
modern.
grays and the navy. I always talk about when we're talking trash. I always talk trash about the navy bedrooms, and he loves the navy
Oh, I'm
bedroom.
sure.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
she
hate
sure.
it.
she
I
hates
hate
all.
it.
She hates
I hate
everything.
it. I don't like the gray. I think it is so just drab and cold and
I'm all for a focal wall that's a different color, but I do
Yes.
like the lighter colors and things. I mean, I will always
Yeah.
go a focal wall in like my living room or in any room. I mean, if you look on the other side of this wall, there's another focal wall. I do like to have, another color that's just in contrast with whatever color I've gone with,
Right.
but I am a fan of the
Modern.
more modern look.
Yeah, the more
Right.
modern look.
And that's the beauty of like having your own place where
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
but like kind of bringing it back to multifamily. Like at the end of the day, like you may like a certain color, but does that necessarily appeal to your market or the
Mhm.
Right.
people you're trying to get to rent these units?
Yeah. Um,
So you kind of do have to go with the trends and make things feel more modern because that's generally that's just kind of what the
That's generally what
yeah.
people
trend is
want.
moving
And
into. Yeah.
and we've had to explain that to owners when we are telling them this is what we would suggest doing.
Right.
And some people can't get away from what they like in a home, and it's all about explaining, I know this is what you like, but you no longer live here, or you're not the one living here.
Right.
You've got to make it look like what other people are looking for right now, because ultimately they're the ones living there, they're the
Mhm.
ones making a home out of it. So you've got to make it those inviting colors that are kind of becoming more standard, more popular right now.
No,
Right.
now would you say that like the gray tones and the more modern tones, does that and Megan, just let me know what your input is. I already know what Jay's is, but you're the guest. So do you think that that makes a property more inviting because it feels more like a blank slate?
Definitely, because especially certain property management companies allow their tenants to do custom inside the rental.
Hmm.
Some don't. It really just depends on the company. But kind of walking in there, it does make it feel a little bit more open to the tenant walking into a potential space. Plus, it gives them a wide variety to be able to accent things how they want to with a lot of these more neutral tones and the
Yeah,
grays.
I
Mm,
didn't think about that. So
uh,
if you have like you
it's
can
a
have
very good point.
funky furniture and
Hmm.
things like that, you can still keep the wall a very natural or
Right.
clean color. I
Hmm.
didn't think about
And
that.
kind of like you mentioned, like accent walls. Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've lived in a lot of rentals actually where they're like, "Well, okay, you can't paint everything, but you can do an accent wall." And it's like sometimes just that one little bit of pop of color just changes
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
And
scenery.
that one little bit of giving them the freedom to change something, it just gives your tenant, makes them feel more at home. Like
Right.
we're not allowing you to paint the whole place, but do an accent wall, make it your own. You're the one living there.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that makes your tenant and whoever's living in your property a little happier, and
Hmm.
make it feel a little more homey for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that that is 100% for sure when you're talking about like single family homes.
Mm.
But like at my property, I don't. I hate that we do this, but it just makes more sense. We paint everything white. Everything is white. When
Hmm.
people
I've
walk in,
I've heard
everything
that.
is white. The carpets are like brown off white, and the walls are just white, and it's very clean. And so we specialize in senior housing, and it really allows the resident to come in and make it their own. We have a lot of people that put up like temporary wallpaper, or they have a lot of pictures of their families and things like that, and it's not so drab
Right.
and cold,
Mhm.
even though I would think that it would be. But we paint everything white, and I think that that keeps a consistency across the board, and it keeps our costs down.
And it
Yeah.
definitely does, kind of piggybacking off of that, the white colors actually do kind of help with overall maintenance costs.
Yeah.
The more pigment you add into paint and as it degrades, you start to lose the actual color. So when you go and try to touch up and you're wondering why, oh, hey, why does this look lighter or darker than what's actually there? The paint will oxidize. Like that's just what naturally happens. So going a white, a standard white in the can, it's going to be easier for you to go and touch up because there's no pigment in it to,
Right.
Nothing.
fade
You have to
away.
color
Yeah,
match.
Well, does
exactly.
that so white is white is white is white, which is we all know
Oh,
is not
there's so
true.
many
There's
whites.
so many
Just like
whites.
there's so many grays.
Yeah, we know that that's not true. But does white and lighter colors like that, do they see the fading from like the sun and things like that, like windows? Do you see as much fading in those kind of colors
Mm,
as you do with darker colors?
It depends, like on the off white. Like if you went with the off white with a more of a yellow tone, the sun will
Mm-hmm.
naturally kind of eat away at
Will
that.
bleach it.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
even your standard white, like if somebody's cooking a lot, if there's
Well,
grease
yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
that's naturally just going to eat into the coating too. So But white's going to be the easiest because if you can get in there and if you can't touch up, you can at least get corner to corner and
Right.
you'll never notice the difference from the corner.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
less work having to cut in
Oh
and do
yeah.
all that extra labor.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, tell me, what do you see when it comes to consistency and the importance of when you're doing turnovers to, use standard colors instead of, every time you're turning it over, painting it a different color? Like,
Yeah, so I've seen it on both spectrums where I've had contractors come in back when I worked in the stores where they bring in a piece of the wall and they say, "Hey, I need you to match this white." Because, there's 50 whites going on the property because they just keep matching over and over and over again versus
Yes.
having, one standard color. So, the standard color makes it easier for you guys. So if you were to get a contractor or do it yourself, that hey, it's this color and this product. I can send whoever up there. That's time saved on your end, which
mhm.
at the end of the day, time is always money to everyone nowadays.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, by having a systemized, with your paint, having all systemized, it just makes it ultimately a lot easier for you guys to go in and repaint.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So
and I love it when it's easier.
I think it's also it's also better to remember the colors that you decided to paint. So the property management company that Jay and I worked for, we
That I still
had,
work for.
well, whatever. We had two main colors. So we mostly dealt with Pearly White by Sherwin-Williams, which is like a buttery white. It's a
Yeah,
very nice color.
It's a beautiful
It
color,
is a
yeah.
very beautiful color. It's not white, but it's also not like a brown, which is a
yeah,
more
it's
neutral
not white,
color.
but it's not like a tan or anything like
Right.
that.
And then the other one is On the Rocks, which is a gray,
Hmm.
a light gray off white color.
I kind of wondered if that's what was in here.
Yeah. So, and it, from the time that I had started managing property for this company and the time that it had originally been painted, a lot of the older rentals were all painted in pearly white, and nobody knew that it was pearly white. So everybody was going through with that chip of the wall, going to
Hmm.
the store, and it's like, hey, can you color match this? Can you color match this?
Mm.
Can you color match this? And then you ended up color matching and
Yep.
color matching and color matching a color that we already had.
Yep.
But
It's like they already make this color.
and the thing about the color matching is, you can go and say, let's color match this, but unless you know exactly what sheen, everything that was used on this wall, it's going to look great when you first dab it on there. When it dries, you're going
Right.
to come in, you're going to see all these little spots. I hate color matching because, I mean, you can get really close,
Right.
no denying that. But, like you said, paint degrades over time. So when you're going in and you're doing a turnover and you're saying, oh, well, there's a little spot here, a little spot there, a little spot there, I'm just going to dab it up a little bit. Once you do that on 5 turnovers and you go in and it looks like a Dalmatian wall
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
You
all
catch it on the
different.
wrong angle and you're seeing everything.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You look
exactly.
from the side when like the sun's out and you're like, what happened to this wall?
Right. And that's also the beauty of systemizing things because if you standardize even the product, that's ultimately going to help on your overall maintenance.
Yeah.
If you go in with paint A and then 3 years down the road don't remember what paint that was, and
Yeah.
you end up going for different paint B, even though it's the same color, it's still not going to match. An
Right.
eggshell in one can and an eggshell in a different product line, they are not the same eggshell.
Right.
So you're just kind of fighting against yourself.
Uh,
So that's the beauty of standardizing.
Well, and
Yeah.
there's so many different like sheens. Like some, it's like eggshell, and then some companies they don't have eggshell. They have satin, or
Yep.
they have satin and they have eggshell, or they have gloss and they have high gloss, and then it's like, or they have flat. And it's like, when do you use that? Never. Don't do that. But
There's
there's
so
just
many.
so many, and it's just so much easier. It'll save you so much time if you just pick the color. Let everybody that you know that works for you. This is the color. This is the
Yes.
brand. This
Yeah.
is where you go and get it.
Write down
Call
your paint
Megan. She
code,
knows what
Right.
write down
she's
the color
doing.
name.
And this is the color.
And
So,
that's something that we do. There's companies that I've worked with and that I do work with where we can go to the property and create you guys a booklet that says, here's the product, here's the color. So if you were ever to change hands and somebody were to come take over, or even not even that, but you have to pass it off to your maintenance team, then
yeah,
they know exactly what it is that they're going to go get and what they need.
yeah,
Takes
Yeah.
the guesswork
You
out.
love it when everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
Like,
don't you?
it's the best
I
thing.
love
It's
it
the
when a
best
plan
feeling
just
ever
comes
once everyone
together.
is on the same page. Break down everything.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and communicate all of that stuff to
Yeah.
your maintenance team and everything. Because I can't tell you how many times where they're like, "Well, we know the color. It's on the rocks. Just go get that."
Right.
And then you go in and we go and talk to Megan, and she's like, "Oh, well, what sheen is this? What is
Yeah.
this? What's this?" And they just play the guessing game,
Yeah.
and then it just doesn't match at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then that's where I'm like, just roll the wall once, just
Yep.
cover it all up,
Just
Corner
cover
to
write
it
it
up.
corner.
down.
Yep.
That's what we use this
Yep.
time.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it was about 3 years, Jay, that we were color matching pearly white because we
hmm
didn't realize that it was pearly white.
No, I remember.
And I'm like, what the heck color is this? And then I had to reach out to one of our oldest owners and I'm like, hey, do you happen to know when you turn this property over, what color the wall was? Because it's the
Yeah.
same color. It's like, oh yeah, it's pearly white.
But
The
if you
Sherwin
use a
Williams. And I was like,
master,
oh, thank you.
you save
So-
things in a master list, or you use a document that's like the master write up, a blank write up, where you write up every property. Have those codes and everything
Mhm.
saved at
Yeah.
the bottom. So no matter who prints it out, they're going to know, okay, if this house is the gray, it's the color gray that we always use. What color gray is this? It's at the bottom of your scope
Right.
of work.
It's
You
paint
can take that
A.
into Megan, give
Yep.
it to her. She's going to be able to give you exactly what you need. Consistency is so important.
And over the years, just being in the role that I am, I've come across some properties that happen to find old blueprints too, where it actually has a lot of the color schedule on it
Oh,
and
wow.
what products should have been used. But
Mhm.
sometimes the contractor may go in with a different product, but
Mhm.
I've had really good success with it where we did find a blueprint and we found the whole color key right there.
Wow. Yeah, we
Uh,
had a rehab at my property in 2014, 15. I don't know, it was before I was there. And all of the walls, I could not tell you what the color is. Every single wall on my property is a different color, and they're all like a gray or blue based darker color, but I have no idea what colors they are. And
Yeah.
every single time somebody dings the wall, we're color matching.
Mhm.
Every single time. And we had my maintenance supervisor, he had like big buckets of all the paint, but eventually that paint does not last. So
Mhm.
you either run out or it's no good anymore. And if you don't take a picture of what it was,
Right.
you'll never know. And then we were going through last year, like, oh, we're going to update some of these colors and make this a little bit brighter and not so drab, and make this one a little bit brighter and make this a little bit brighter. And we mostly just covered up all of the walls that had big dings in them where we couldn't color match because
yeah.
the color, we had no idea what the color is. Still have no idea. The property's changed hands. We've added another layer with the tax credit. We went through a rehab. At this point, like,
Right.
I have no idea
Right.
what color these are. So it is, yeah, like Jay said, it's really important to just kind of keep that key somewhere. Give it
Yeah.
to someone, laminate it, and stick it to the wall.
Yes.
And
And
that
Yeah.
way,
save it in 15 different places if you're worried
Yeah.
it's going to get lost. Just have it so everyone knows. And that way you can give it to your tenants too. Say, you have a tenant that, in our lease, they have to get permission to paint the
Mhm.
walls. And we might say, yeah, you can paint the entire living room, but when you move out,
You paint
you
it
have to
back.
paint it back to the
Yeah.
color it was. Now I have that color written down and saved somewhere, so I can say, this is where you go, this is what you're going to get, and it's going to be the exact same color as it was when you moved in. That
right.
way you don't get charged when you move out for us to go back in and paint it back to how it was.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you don't want them to color match a color that you already know that it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, especially if you know what.
Well, you already know how I feel about color matching. So,
Yeah, you don't want them guessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
All we ask is if you do bring in something to match, just make sure it's bigger than like the size of a silver dollar. I've
Yeah.
had people bring in little tiny chip pieces, and it's never a fun time trying to explain you can't match
So
that.
Yeah.
explain to
Put
me
this-
exactly,
put
because I
this
think
little
that a
thing in
lot
the
of people
sheet.
don't know this, right? How exactly does color matching work?
So at least at the company that I work for, we have a very specialized machine that
Okay.
does it's a light scanner.
Mhm.
So That's why I say we need at least this piece bigger than the size of a silver dollar, just so it's sizable enough to fit over the hole where the light scanner shoots from. Now this scanner is not going to determine what sheen it is. Truthfully, that's just to the expertise of the person that's behind the counter.
Mhm.
Like I can look at your walls right now and say you use eggshell or satin, just from my experience of working with coatings
Yep.
for
It's
this long.
eggshell. You're
So,
right.
and like I said, this product line finishes like this way, and this product line finishes that way. After knowing the products for so long, I know which one was going to finish more to like what the result you're looking for in the
Yeah.
match. So naturally, the machine's going to spit out a little formula that goes to the product, and we usually have to tinker with it. So we never usually trust the exact formula that comes right out that spits to you. So we
Right.
always kind of cut it back and then inch our way towards the actual result.
Okay.
Because sometimes those light scanners will catch like little peaks and valleys, like in the paint, and it can cause like shadowing, and then that way you have a little wiggle room to kind of sway the color more to the match.
So what you're saying is that it's not an exact science.
No, no. Like I want to say 10, 15 years ago, it was all done by eye. Like this
Right.
light scanner technology is relatively newer.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it does wonders.
Well, yeah, I can
I
imagine.
mean,
10 years
Saves a
ago.
lot of
have
time.
used it before, and it's come close.
Yeah.
I just I'm not a fan of touch-up painting,
Yes.
just because of you go in and you catch that glare on the wall and you see every single one of those touch-ups. You can get really close, of course, and I just unless you know exactly what you're using and the paint on the wall isn't super old, it's just not going to match
Right.
perfectly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm not the biggest fan of it. But I love it when if you do color match, because you don't know the color, but you get really close, you can still paint a whole wall and avoid cutting in
Yeah.
because it does match very well
Hmm.
Yeah.
and still save yourself some time and money on
Yeah.
labor and materials by not having to do that. If you have somebody like Megan here that
Yeah.
knows how to color match and can get you something really close to that color.
Exactly.
I'm not a fan of the touch-up paint. Roll
Yeah.
wall, please. Do
Yes.
it.
Yep. Just one roll, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
My-
you're already getting a gallon as it is. So
Yeah.
you might as well just paint out the one section of the wall.
Yeah, you're gonna
Exactly.
use
That's how I
that
always
whole
explain it.
gallon to do 5 touch-ups, and you have all this paint left
Right.
over. So
Right.
if you roll it once, it's gonna match really
Yep.
well,
Mhm.
and it's gonna look a lot better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot better. I can understand that for sure. So I just think that like consistency um over time is just going to save you so much time.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
And if you can be like, oh yeah, this house is X, Y, and Z colors, A, B, C, different type of paint. The outside is this, the inside is that, the trim is this, the ceiling's that. Go for it. Like,
Yeah,
go
and
buy it, get it done.
you
Yeah.
can
And
even
if
order the paint for your contractor from the company that you're going with,
Right.
Yeah.
and just have it all there ready to go
Yeah.
because you already know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Right. And naturally, you guys want to update the property. You want to make it look nice for the next
Right.
tenant.
Mhm.
And truthfully, if no tenant's in there, you're losing money. So,
Every
Yeah.
day.
at that point, that's why paint is so essential. If you can standardize it and save yourself that time, then having to go to the store, do a match, instead of just knowing everything of what you need,
Mhm.
go there, grab it, come back, paint the wall, and you can have it back on the market.
Yep. Because the number one most expensive cost of owning a managed property is vacancy. It's the number
Yes.
one
Mhm.
most expensive thing that can happen to your property is for it to be vacant. So, yeah, I 100% believe that. Yeah, and I think that kind of going back to what you mentioned about, it's what your tenants want. Nobody wants to walk into a property and be like, this looks like my Aunt Janet's brown living room from when I was 5 years old. Is this just brown or does somebody really smoke in here? Like, I
Right.
think that and there's a lot that, that goes into that like first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you always want to put your best foot forward. I know that
Every
Jay, you
time
have a
before
lot to
there's
say
yeah,
about
I
that.
do.
Go on with it. I know
No,
you do.
that's one of the number one things I talk to my owners about when a property goes vacant is some people want to do the bare minimum or not do anything at all, and I mean you're going to get what you pay for. So if you're not putting your best foot forward, number one, your property is going to stay vacant longer.
Yep.
And it's going to be harder to sell because somebody in the same neighborhood can go rent the house 2 doors down that's been completely repainted.
Yeah.
A good paint job is just going to make your house look so much better. You can have an older home
Right.
and still make it look beautiful by just having a fresh coat of paint put on it.
I was
Mhm.
gonna say curb appeal, curb appeal, curb
Yes.
appeal.
Yep. Exterior curb appeal, interior fresh coat of paint does wonders on
Mhm.
a house, and it's so important to your renters and your prospective tenant that's walking through that house to be able to imagine themselves there. But then there's a lot of they have options.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to put a little bit in,
Yeah.
you're not going to get much back.
Yeah.
And just investing a little bit more is going to give you a better income. You're gonna get a better kickback on your rents, and you're gonna have a longer tenant because they know you're gonna take care of the property, because look at what you did when somebody else moved out.
Right.
Right.
You did the right thing. You made this house look great, and I want it, and I'm gonna apply, or whatever, and stay longer, as long as you have an owner that's willing to put in the work and the time. The overall cost of keeping it up and doing that painting and stuff when someone moves out, it's going to save you in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cost of doing that. I mean, if as an owner, if you wanted to do it yourself, you could. The cost versus the benefit is negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day. So we talked about interior.
Mhm.
What about exterior? Where are you seeing exterior? Well, first, I'm curious to see interior. What did you think was going to last that didn't last?
Oh, that's a tough one. I hate to say the navy blues because you have the navy blue, but a lot
Oh,
of
he
people.
loves it. He loves it. I
It's
love
hate
my
it.
huge
cabinets.
on the exterior. Navy blue, like dark,
Huge.
dark, like blue grays are
Yeah, I have
huge
seen
on the
that
Yes.
coming on
exteriors.
exteriors.
On the interior, like I've seen it, but it kind of faded out.
Uh,
And
Okay. Like those harsh,
yes,
like the royal blue.
Well, I would never paint my walls this color.
Well, some people would.
But for myself, it's too dark. I
Yeah.
wouldn't paint my walls this color.
Mhm.
But for my cabinets and stuff, I was like, you know what? I need a change.
Yeah.
They were white. I made
Right.
them navy blue. I still have some white ones
So
because
my living
I'm
room-
great at not finishing jobs here.
Yeah, my living room is orange, so
Yeah,
and it's bright macaroni and cheese orange. I
but
love it.
I own,
so,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm an owner occupant. I own my house. I live in my house. I can
Yeah.
Right.
do whatever I want, and
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what the trends are.
Right.
Right.
But as a rental property, it depends on the color scheme of the entire house.
Yeah.
If you can do a navy blue cabinet or something like that.
Yeah.
It just depends on what kind of turnover was done there. Does
Yeah.
this look good together?
Right.
And what the trend is, what people are actually looking for.
I don't know why it became so trendy. It was like the navies and the
Yep.
royal blues, and then the like the reds, like
Yep.
that deep crimson.
Well, you remember my cabinets were red before
They
too.
were red before.
I feel like she's just going hard at you right
Yeah,
now.
no, she does.
But I'm not talking about cabinets. I'm talking about walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So
I
yeah, I'm
couldn't do
talking about
that.
red bedrooms, navy bedrooms. Like I don't know why they
Burgundies have been-
became.
I've seen a lot of burgundies.
Yes, yes, and I don't know why they were so popular, but it was. I feel like it was like right after, like maybe what 2010 to 2016. It was like that little niche
Yeah.
area.
Well, that and faux finishing, like
Oh,
like
yes.
the suede walls,
Yes.
the
Yes.
rag roll walls, like
Yeah.
Oh, sponge painting.
Sponge
yeah,
painting.
sponge
Yep.
painting, like that was
We used to have that here,
huge for
too.
many years.
Now everything's shiplap.
Now it's shiplap. Or wallpaper is coming back though.
It
Yeah,
is.
wallpaper
Wallpaper's
is.
huge now.
Like I used
Jay
to.
has wallpaper
I-
too.
I just put a little bit up. In
I
my
did.
bar
I
in the
peeked
back.
at it. I was like, that looks nice.
Yeah.
It's the same wallpaper I used in my office at my work. But yeah, I'm seeing the wallpaper too, and I will be honest. Back in the day, back when I was a child, there was wallpaper here, and that was that old wallpaper that they glued on,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
was a pain to remove.
Yeah.
This is temporary wallpaper. I can go pull that off.
Oh.
We're giving you the 5
Shauna's
finger countdown.
giving us the countdown. We're running out of time here.
We're gonna have a part 2. Don't worry, Jay. All right. So on the the next episode, we're going to talk about consistency and branding and how your consistency across the board ends up turning into your brand as a
Mhm.
property management company or a property manager or an owner. There's a lot of different folds and facets that we're going to talk about. But Megan will be back for episode 2, and we're
Whoop,
gonna
whoop.
we're gonna talk about all that. So settle in, and we hope you guys join us then.
See you then.